This video is brought to you by me and my merchandise store, orchid8.com. Go to it, you absolute homunculus. Hello everybody, my name is, ow, that hurt. Hello everybody, my name is Bricky, currently running from the law for leaving my friend behind and taking the bus on transit, and yep, it's zombies time. Me, I'm a zombies boomer. I mean, finish the campaign in World at War. Oh, look at this secret mode, boomer. Zombies has been a pretty big part of my life. I'm not quite sure if I'd call myself a die-hard fan. Like, if you asked me to name every single zombies map from the Treyarch games, I absolutely could, but I haven't completed like every single Easter egg, only a couple of them, and I didn't necessarily play a ton of Black Ops 4. So maybe not try hard. I'm just a little hard for zombies, just a little hard. I want to talk about Cold War zombies. It's good. The gameplay is actually really good, but I've been playing the other zombies as of lately, mainly Black Ops 3, which, thanks to the Zombie Chronicles, I'd probably consider to be the de facto zombies experience right now. And after playing a lot of it, I've noticed that regardless of the fantastic gameplay that Cold War has, the one thing it massively lacks is any kind of personality. Normally, I structure my videos in a certain way. I do like a little thesis in the beginning, go through different kinds of points with some silly, stupid transitions that I whip up in about half a minute, and kind of, do a little bit of a flow that way. Not today, not today. I just want to talk, just a little bit of a one-on-one discussion about Cold War zombies. Why, in its own right, it's pretty dang good, but it just has absolutely zero personality. And because of that, I go back to the old ones, or would take the old ones almost any time of the day. Zombies has always been one of those modes that was really easy to get into but had a lot of depth to it. A person who was just thrown into, say, the first map, right, Knockdown Toten, perhaps when you've had that noob player, the first thing they'll do is they'll shoot some barrels, try to blow up some zombies, make sure they keep themselves out of the boarded up windows, that kind of stuff. But for the people like you and me who have played it an insane amount, we all know, no, let the zombies in, and then go ahead and do the 5 shots with your 1911, get the knife for maximum points, rebuild the barricades for even more points, and possibly even get a power up because the zombies are inside the playable area. A new player will open up every single door they see. An experienced player will open up certain doors to make training a lot easier. Lots of different examples like this. However, as maps came out, they started getting more complex. Verrückt, so sorry, Germans. They added a bunch of perk machines, traps, power, mystery box that can teleport different locations, that kind of stuff. Numa added hellhounds, added the random perk system, the 4 different areas. Der Ries added the, I'm so sorry, Germans, added the back-a-punch machine, etc. Now, the difference between a player who plays just a little bit of zombies with their friends versus a die-hard player like me and some of the community generally comes down to what they would consider their favorite maps. Now, a casual zombie player, and I don't mean casual in the negative, oh my god, filthy casual way. I mean that more just like a standard zombie player who sometimes rolls it up with their friends. Their favorite maps are generally things like Der Ries, Kino der Toten, Ascension, maps that are actually pretty damn great, but maps that don't have a huge amount of depth in the unlocks and such. However, for the more diehard players like myself and the rest of the zombies community, we really like maps like Gorod Krovi, Origins, Mob of the Dead, Der Eisendrache, because those are the maps that you can reach that same level of Kino and stuff where you can be all set up, all your perks, pack-a-punch, etc. But if you want to spend the time to get all 4 staffs upgraded, the Gauntlet of Siegfried, all these crazy upgrades, you can, and it gives you something to work for. In maps like Kino and Der Ries, you're pretty much all set up by round 20, and after that, it's just about survival. With something like Origins or Der Eisendrache, you can actually be still unlocking new things by round 30 and on, and it gives you a lot to do. Origins, for instance, my personal favorite map, can be a bit aggravating. It's not a perfect map. The different power conduits you have to unlock, that stupid mud, the Panzer Soldat, those stupid Templar zombies that constantly screw with your stuff, the rotating environment of the crazy place. There's so many things like that that can actually be rather aggravating, but there is so much to do between all 4 staffs, being able to get all the discs and all the different parts, 3 different parts per staff, upgrading all 4 of those staffs, the Maxis drone, the shield, the soul boxes to get the Thunder Punch, the thing where you get all 4 perks and you spend enough money and points to be able to get the 5th double tap extra, which is the only way for you to get 5 perks on that map minus Gobblegut. There's so many things you can do on Origins. That's why I keep on going back to it, besides the fact that it's got great characters, a great environment, and a boppin' round change soundtrack. I think this is the way a lot of people started going when the new zombie maps came out, because in the beginning we were very much like, just give me Deris, just give me Kino, those are the maps I want. But I think that as a community, we've gotten a lot more interested in those more complex maps. I remember when BO3 first launched, Shadows of Evil was not considered very good. A lot of people, and I'm doing my best to remember this, but I remember a lot of people who really did not like that map because it was just so setup heavy, and they all just went over to go play the remade version of Deris. Now, look at Shadows, people love Shadows, because I think we've all gotten accustomed to a long setup. I mean, it's not as bad as Zetsubo, that's for certain, but even so, that long setup has a lot of things that you can unlock, things you can do. There's a lot of depth to it. Not to mention that the environment is just fantastic. To me, running a train on Kino post round 20 gets a little bit boring, but Der Eisendrache will never get old. Move all of this over to Cold War, and on Cold War side of things, they seem to be taking it way far back, bringing it back to the easier types of maps like Kino and Deris. However, their main amount of depth comes from the new salvage, weapon upgrading system, and how far you can pack a punch. But the actual nature of getting these things ready is actually pretty dang easy. Honestly, when you first jump into Cold War, you may not really enjoy the zombies experience as a die-hard zombies player because so many things have been changed. But unlike Black Ops 4, who I feel like made a lot of change for the sake of change, Black Ops Cold War actually feels like all those changes work with each other. A single change to Cold War, like the point system or how you can buy ammo now for relatively cheap and in multiple areas, may seem like a bad idea on its own right, but then you take into account all the other major changes of the game, and it kind of feels like it makes a lot of sense. Let me explain some of the changes of Cold War. Shooting a zombie no longer gives you points for the zombie. You only get points if you actually kill the zombie, and a little bit extra if you get a headshot or a knife kill. This makes it so that you don't have an abundance of points way later in the game, but then you might think to yourself, well, crap, if I don't get any money for just harming the zombies only when killing them, then that means ammo and ammo such things are going to be really hard to come by. Well, no, because now you can actually buy ammo in little crates all across the map. Well, that seems like a little bit too easy, because what about the ammo economy? Well, the more you pack a punch and level up your gun, the more the ammo costs, to a pretty extreme amount. Perks. You can now actually have every single perk in the entire game now. You're not limited to just 4. But how is this balanced out, and how are there not crutch perks? Well, this time around, each perk doesn't have a set price. Their price increases the more perks you buy. So you start off with a small 2,500, but your second perk, 3,000, 3,500, 4,000. So if you want to become absolutely broken, it's going to cost a pretty penny. But if you go down, you're not super punished if you want to rebuild your, build. The zombies themselves come up from almost every single direction and are insanely fast now. But now you've got the armor system, which now allows you to have not only a decent chunk, a very tanky chunk, maybe even a little bit too tanky, amount of extra health if you get surrounded, but also that armor system uses scrap, and scrap is green and blue. These things help you upgrade your guns and to give you more armor. See, in Cold War, like in Black Ops 4, you could start the game with a freaking LMG. But now weapons have levels, go from red, green, blue, purple, and orange. So that even if you start the game with an LMG, that LMG won't mean shit in 4 rounds. That thing's actually going to become pretty bad. So it allows you to be able to, hey, if I have a blue weapon, this thing is just strictly better than the green weapon I have here. So if you want to start with the most broken weapon, well, you better start upgrading it or else it's going to mean nothing. In fact, pistols and even the knife are actually insanely powerful in Cold War. All the things that used to suck are good now. Carpenter refills your armor. The 1911, 1 shot to the head in the first round, 2 in the second rounds and on. Pack a punch that thing, it'll be 1 shots for a while. The knife, 1 shots for God knows how long, and then you can pack a punch it and level it up. A fully leveled, fully pack a punch knife will 1 shot basically forever. Grenades kills almost the entire time because they're picked up now, not regenerated. Stun grenades, decoys, stims, all of these things are completely useful. The gameplay of Cold War, it will throw you off in the beginning, but as time goes on, you realize that every change complemented itself and the other changes, unlike Black Ops 4 did. And that's why the gameplay of this game is actually pretty damn fantastic, even if it might throw you off from the visual style and such. Now, change isn't a bad thing. We all know that change isn't a bad thing, but Call of Duty players are very scared of change. See, when you go back a bit, you look at Black Ops 3, you look at the starting room of Revelations compared to Knockdown and Toten, and you might think, oh my god, they've really lost their way. But no, Revelations is a perfectly fine map. The problem that Black Ops 4 came in with is that the changes just didn't work. They just didn't synergize well. The changes to the perks didn't change anything because there still were crutch perks. The elixirs were absolutely broken. The sheer amount of special zombies, the fucking Blightfather sons of bitches, the specialist weapons that were way too powerful, and this just god-awful HUD. Oh my god, it's so, I mean, Cold War's not great. Black Ops 3 still takes it, but oh my god. But that change inherently isn't bad. It's entirely how it's implemented. However, even with all this change and all of the huge praise I've been giving Cold War's gameplay, I still go back to Black Ops 3 almost every single time because Cold War is so boring to look at. I have a video like way down the line that I wanted to work on, and it was about art direction versus graphics. Like the working title is graphics are temporary, art direction is forever. Just, you know, it's just some kind of temporary title, basically. The main reason is I was playing BioShock, and BioShock visually holds up really, really well, but it's not because the graphics are particularly great, it's because the style, the Art Deco, like 60s, under the sea style really, really holds up. I've been playing Prey, same deal. Art direction is huge. It's a huge importance when it comes to games, how things are, I don't know, perceived as opposed to just how good the pixels are. I get that same beauty from some of the older zombie maps, right? I mean, it started off pretty simple. Regular ass airfield base, whatever, right? Asylum, okay, a little more interesting. Swamp, German science facility, all right, cool again. Soviet Cosmodrome, all right. Shangri-La, the moon? Destroyed buildings and falling over skyscrapers in China, an underground western city, like satanic Alcatraz, one of the best looking freaking maps of all time. Once you get to Black Ops 3, the roaring 20s with a Cthulhu Lovecraft vibe, a giant Austrian castle mixed with all of the old mythology of dragons and bows. You have the creepy Japanese like body horror swamp, and then you have the bloody dragon mech alcohol vodka absolute LSD trip that is Gorod Krovi, and then you get to Cold War and you've got base. But don't worry, Firebase Z is much better. You've got Vietnam base. Well, it's not great, but at least the characters will be really interesting. They're operators. They're operators. They have like 5 lines. They have nothing to do with the story. Well, don't worry. The story, though, it's not good. Cold War Zombies, for all of its gameplay improvements, lacks an ounce of personality. No. Die Machine's cool, like Dark Ether Realm with the jellyfish. That's kind of cool. It has 1 singular ounce of personality. 1. Zombies really hit its stride when the maps were outlandish, ridiculous areas with characters we enjoy. The zombie storyline, especially in the older games, is just fucked. It has no sense of direction. It's making it up as it goes along. It was just such an absolute cluster. But at the end, we didn't really care. Because, and I go back to Black Ops 3 once again because it's so damn good, the story of Black Ops 3 doesn't matter about Monty and the damn apothecaries and all that stuff. No one cared. I sure didn't care about that. Maybe some of you did. I didn't care about that. I liked Black Ops 3's story the most because it was 4 separate maps. Well, 4 of the maps at least, were all about the younger version of the Ultimates crew, the Primus crew, going back and killing their older selves to collect their soul. Eisendrache had Dempsey, and you had that nice little touching moment there. I mean, Richtofen just got iced. But Takio and the horrible betrayal he realizes, the somber, sad knowledge of Nikolai's first wife, like all of that character stuff was really important, and it was backed up by some not only funny, but just really good and well-voiced dialogue. Dempsey's Steve Blum, man. Bloom, whatever. He's great. Richtofen's Nolan North, for God's sakes, and they have some fantastic dialogue. You go to Cold War, and not only do your operators not have a story at all, but the people talking are just blank face, deadpan. Oh, there's this science experiment with the Nazis, and the Soviets are there, and yes, comrade, come. I'm Dr. Pecker. My pecker, I'm so evil, I threw Maxis in the dome, and I don't know why they told me to talk like this, because I sound like I took lessons on how to be evil from the back of a Justice League cereal box. Oh, my Martha. And the story isn't better either. Oh my God, what even is happening in Cold War? Like, okay, I was told that they're doing the alternate history thing where, like Modern Warfare did, where it's got Price and Soap and Ghost, but it's like a reboot. It's not the actual old Price and Soap and Ghost. So it's a different Woods and Mason in Cold War. But is it actually? Because then they're like, oh, there's Samantha Maxis. You remember Samantha Maxis, but she's older now. But is that the same Samantha from the old zombies? Because there's the different timelines, but like it would be a different Samantha, right? Because it's a complete reboot of the series. So it's not the same Samantha because it's a reboot. Or is it the same Samantha, but there's only supposed to be one timeline now because Nikolai killed everyone and it was supposed to remove all the other timelines, so it's supposed to fix that. But if it's the original timeline, don't they nuke the Earth? At this point, do you know? Does anyone know? Was I supposed to? Okay. When Samantha walked out of the portal in Firebase Z, right? Besides being kind of bad though, was I supposed to start just furiously coming when I noticed she had like gear from our Primus crew? The goggles, the sword, the jacket. Was I supposed to just start making planters self-conscious with the sheer amount of nut? Because I recognize these things from these characters that, due to the fact that you're rebooting the series, might not even be the exact same characters? Am I supposed to just reach instant climax when I see Krevchenko on stream, guy who was a small B-movie villain in Black Ops 1 and 2? Are we Rise of Skywalker now? Is this just what you know? Is this just reference? Is that all we have? References to the glory days past? Is that how we get everyone interested? It's like, oh, I know that thing. I remember that thing. I remember reference. I just went over all the reasons why Cold War Zombies is so good thanks to the change, but now I'm supposed to be excited that they're bringing back Transit, or they're rebooting Zombies, or there's some kind of like, oh, the Avogadro's an outbreak. Like, so what? Change is not inherently bad. Like, you know, people shit on the Victus crew, you know, Russman, Stuhlinger, Misty, those kinds of people. But really, they started to become kind of decent as time went on. The problem with them was the fact that they were attached to two of the worst zombie maps in history, Transit and Die Rise. But in Buried, they were kind of fun. And then Tag der Toten, they were not bad either. Like, yeah, the Chaos group was kind of shitty, but at least Ancient Evil was good. Is that going to be Cold War Zombies from here on out? A bunch of just bases with almost no personality to them, with Easter eggs that, while I'm glad aren't pixel hunts anymore, are just laughably easy, with characters and narrators that I don't care about, with soulless operators, and a story that doesn't make any sense. And if it does make sense, is boring as shit. I really like the gameplay of Cold War. I really, really like it. But when I load into Die Machine, when I load into Outbreak, especially Outbreak, and when I load into Firebase Z, I do not get that first image that I get in Shadows of Evil. I do not get that personality, that care, that depth that I get when I'm in Eisendrock, when I hear the large foot of the Origins robot crash above my head and I see Maxis's brain in front of me, when I see myself with electrical hands in purgatory stuck on Alcatraz Island. I don't get that anymore. Cold War Zombies is not bad. It's actually good, but it has no personality. I'm hearing rumors that they're supposed to like bring back Transit and Die Rise or something. Like they're supposed to bring back old maps, which, I mean, I guess that would solve the personality problem for the map itself, because at least the map, like Transit might be kind of foggy and gray and crabby, but at least like it makes sense because the Earth was nuked and it had this kind of like creepy apocalypse vibe to it. But then you're still going back to things you know. Again, just reference. I don't know. Thank you all very much for watching. I know this was kind of a negative video. I don't really do negative videos. There's a lot of those out there. A lot of like bitching and complaining. And I try to do mostly positive videos, hence like Apex, Outer Wilds, Blue and Tower Defense. But this one, I'm really passionate about those zombie maps, all right? I really am. And I really wanted to kind of get more into it. But I don't know. I really hope they turn it around, because this is not a good first impression for these zombie maps. Not at all. I'd take Black Ops 4 over this maybe. I mean, not the gameplay of Black Ops 4, but at least like the maps looked really good. Like that big mansion in Dead of Night, that Ancient Evil stuff, like at least they looked damn good. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. And let me do a couple questions for the end of the day patrons. Who is your favorite mod and why is it me? Well, it has to be you, Llama. Come on now. What game would you completely erase from your memory to play it again for the first time? Oh, well, Funk, my dude. I already said that. Outer Wilds. Not even a question. Who would win in a fight, Rich Evans or Mike Stoklasa? Oof. I like Mike, but I mean, do you think he can really stand up to the absolute demigod that is Rich Evans? Not in the slightest. Thank you everyone for watching. I will see you in about 10 days for another video on, I think it's on Cursed Halo.